Paul spent almost 50 years in the town of Linglestown and the township of Lower Paxton, and he serviced not only the customers, but he did much for the township and for the village of Linglestown. And it's all yours, Paul.
It's all mine.
All yours.
Green. Green. Okay. You people don't know what you're in for tonight. First thing I'd like to do before I even start is to like to thank three people, the Trinity: God the Father, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. Without them, I wouldn't be here tonight. There wouldn't be any doubt. And but I feel obligated to thank them right up front for being able to make it for 83 years. That's a big thing, and I'm glad of that. I'll get on with this. They said we were going to have the family here, so I brought Clara along. I didn't want to leave her out because she told me if I don't take a Mercury along when I go, I'm not going to get into heaven with her. I already got the word on it, so I'm ready to go. The first part of this is me growing up, I guess, what you might say is I was born and raised in Harrisburg on 1827 Berry Hill, somewhere. This is kind of from up there. There it is. The house in the middle there, on the bottom. That's the only house left on the 1800 block on Berry Hill Street now. They're all gone. And that was our house. That was the house I was born in. And it's been quite a pleasure. But from there I got let me look at my notes here. My mother was a frontline, or with a World War I, a veteran of World War I, and she's in the middle there on the left side on our family picture. I know nobody can pick me out of that. Jolly little self there on the left in the front with all the hair. She was on the front lines in France with that, and that's quite an accomplishment, I think. And she was a private duty nurse at the Harrisburg Hospital she got a 50-year pin for that. So my dad died when I was 11, and when I was growing up, I just thought, 11 years old, my dad died, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and I thought, I'd like to have a service station. I worked at the service station right in Linglestown, or in Harrisburg there, right off of 19th and Dairy, and I fooled around in there when I was a kid, and I just got to liking that, and Mr. Shuey taught me just about everything I know about cars. He was the head mechanic for England Packard down on Cameron Street, and he was quite a guy, quite a mechanic, and he was the father of my best friend, Carl Shuey, and that worked out pretty well. But I think I said I always wanted a gas station. I thought I did anyhow, so I figured, well, I worked at Robbie's Sunoco down on Cameron and Paxton, and it was Vic Reed's then, or was Robbie's, and then he went away or something, and then Vic took over. That's where I met Clara, and she was, I guess I don't know what I was then, probably 15, 16, something like that. She was about 2 years behind me. So we wound up getting married in 1976 or 56, and I was 20 then, and she was 18, and I think what I wanted to start off saying was that this was a little saga of two young teenagers wanting to get into life, to get started with life, to jump into the mix, and so we did, and we got married, and we started our family. We had Deb here in 1957, and Judy in 1961, and Joanne in 1963. So it's over a period of about 5 or 6 years, we had our family. That was it. But yeah, that's our wedding. What else was I going to work on? But well, we got through the wedding already. I'll put it that way. I got a family and I got a wife. Now I got to figure out something else here. Got to be something to come up here. So we. I need a drink.
Well, I was gonna
my mother, well, when we decided when I say we, Claire and I, decided we were going to open a gas station. That was my dream, and we figured we were going to do it, and we'll see how it works out. And so I had $1,000 saved up, and my brother Charles, he gave me $1,000, or he loaned me $1,000, and my mother loaned me $1,000. So for $3,000, I opened an empty service station. And that was a challenge. That bought the gas in the ground. That bought all my inventory. It bought everything that I had in that station. And that $3,000. You walked in and told somebody you wanted to get a station now, they'd laugh at you. But it's just the way you had to do it. You had to start off slow, and I did that. And we were selling gas at about 25-30 cents a gallon. And when I went out of business in around 2006 or something like that, an 8,000-gallon tanker full of gas cost $30,000. So that's the difference that happens. Here's a picture here, Mark Bolton's house. This is the place where my station was. Minus the house. That bell, that tower that you see to the left there, that's I think Mark was a doctor, if I'm not mistaken. Anybody know for sure? Bill, you know if Mark Bolton was a doctor?
No, he wasn't a doctor. No. Dr. Smith.
Okay, well he was. I know they had a bell on there, and it was for if you needed an emergency for a doctor, you go down to the house there, and you could ring the bell, and somebody.
Doctor.
Oh, here comes a guy that'll ask me. Could answer me. But you'd ring that bell, and the doctor would come, or I guess they did it for fires. I don't know. But that bell is now on Dave Bartlett's house on the right-hand corner. So it's still around. It's still, I don't know if it's ringing or not, but it's still around. So that's the beginning of my service station days. That they tore that down, and they built one, and you didn't have a service station built. They would take there's guys that would, that have money, like Hal, that would buy up property and go build a service station someplace and then lease it to the oil companies. So then I would lease it from them, and that's the way this worked. So I leased it for from Flish Incorporated, and that was Fisher and Lipset. Judge Lipset and Gale and Fisher were the two that were involved in that. And I wound up, I had my service station. Where'd the service station go? Oh, there it is. The one at the top there. That's Deb standing outside the front door. And that's back right around the time when I got in there. I was right around 58, I guess, when that.
Well, not quite that.
Oh, later. Where was I at where all this was going on? We were open like from 6 in the morning till 11 at night. Takes for a long day, but I did that 7 days a week for quite a while. And when I got started, I started with some part-time help. Then I had to quickly get into the full-time. And I started with 3 full-time guys. I did forget one thing back here. When I opened the station, the first ones I met were Jay Diver and Mike Linker. Is Jay here tonight? Yeah. He was the first full-time guy that I had, Mike Linker, and Ron Nye.
Yeah, Ron Nye was your first.
But, okay. They were the 4 full-time folks that I first had. And the other ones were the part-timers. I gotta go to another page for that. I know I'm gonna miss a bunch of people here, but it's the way it is. It's with Dick Nye and full-time Dick Nye, Herb Lindsay, Fred Kellner, Ron, Fred, Jack Nye, June Houck, Nader and Kermit and Eric and David Yinks. I don't know if they all worked for me, but I know at least 3 or 4 of them did. Donnie Goss, and he's the one with the back in the hour. He comes prepared. Roy Nye, Harry Clace, Greg Carl, Dave Kistner, and I got to say something about Dave. Dave was a poster boy for a part-time service station or whatever, God's worker. He was the best part-time man I ever had. He was a real sweetheart, boy, I'll tell you. He was clean, neat, everything was first fan. And Herb Lindsay, Carl Newman, Jerry Neal, Dick and Rick Hartz, Chuck Baker, Jim Baker, Chris Rhodes, Dan James, Tom Freisinger, Alan Builder, and Dudley Gordon. So your doctor was started out as a not mechanic, but at least I wouldn't have wanted him.
My first job.
But he learned lots since then. Guys have to excuse me a little bit. so there was a period there about 10 years, I guess, where we were getting ready or getting going. And I was sowing my wild oats at that time with wanting to do things a little risque. And got into racing. Back when Mitch was running and Tobias and there he is. Yep, that's Jack. And he was.
He's standing back here at the wall.
Oh, where's he at? Where's he at?
Right back there.
Oh, there he is. Oh, okay. Where did you race at, Jack?
York,
York?
and,
Late models, right?
pardon?
Huh? Late models?
Yeah, whatever that is.
Oh, no, drag racing.
Drag.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that. Of course, there's a lot of things I don't remember, but we had some good times fooling around with that stuff. And in '59, it was just 59, 60 around in there. We were also in a wild oats. We had a lot of young folks in the town. There weren't too many families that didn't belong. Go back to that. There we go. This is a picture of us, of the Three Musketeers here. I'm on a motorcycle, and the one sitting on the motorcycle is this one, the middle one. The one standing down under the handlebar is you there, Deb. And that's up in the picture on the top right-hand corner is Dick McNeil and Dot. And myself and Clara. Down below is the Three Musketeers and their wives. Johnny Anjanette and Sonny Miller. Clara and I in the middle. And Dick and Dot on the right, or the left here. But that was back in the day. We had our fun, but it was a good time. We had good times. We had the girls here have all been to gypsy tours, so they've had the rough life along with the good life. So I didn't want to spoil them all right at one time. Give a little bit at a time. Part-timers were yeah, I'm gonna come into that. I guess we got the post office contract right about that time. And Bob Miller was the postmaster. And I'll tell you, they haven't had any like him in a long time. He was a great guy. And we had to get the mail trucks, I think there was about 15 or 18 of them, bring them down, wash them on the weekends, put chains on them in the winter, and take them back. And it was a lot of running and a lot of work. But my girls here did most of the washing and cleaning on them. They loved every minute of it, I know. That's the reason I kept them around so long. But no, they were, and they one thing about my girls, they weren't afraid to get their hands dirty. And they did a lot of cleaning around the station and kept up with things, and it was a fun time. We had some good times and we had some bad ones, but it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't that good either. Yeah, I know, that's my memory. Yeah. I'm forgetting the good times or the bad times. And around 1965, I think they had the bicentennial then. And what really made it exceptionally great was they had the Firemen's Convention at the same time. There's my lovely wife and there's my 3 kindling. She made all those gowns, which is what she did. She did a great job in doing that. She was quite a seamstress, and I guess that Central Dolphins band during the centennial. And the best thing about that I could think about the centennial was the parade. You tell somebody that Linglestown had a 4-hour-long parade. That's what it was. And it was quite a parade. It was really nice. The jailhouse, they built a jailhouse and they put it in the front of the station. And yeah. And there's a guy that's in the jail. Anybody recognize him?
Yeah.
You do? I'm wondering where he got all that hair on his arms at. I think that's manufactured stuff. And I think that's Carol. Yeah, Carolyn Kepler, right. But we had some good times in that jail. It was great, and that's my bride shaving my beard off. That was the first free shave I got. It was the only free shave I got. But the jailhouse was a kind of a bone of contention in Linglestown history. That thing got waylaid and got wound up in Duncannon on the steps of the bank. And that didn't go over too well with the Duncanians. They weren't too happy about that, and that wasn't an easy thing to move, so I've been told. Come on, guys. But that, I think that probably weighed 800 pounds or so. If you lift that up, it took a while, but I think there was somebody in here that knows who took it. But you can fess up if you want. The statute of limitations has run out. You're safe. You won't get arrested. You're good on that. But we had some good times with that when we took it there. Well, not when we took it. When we got back hunting it, put it that way. Why? Who was the one that had the nursery? Cromwell. Yeah, we used on. I think they used Ollie's Cromwell's pickup or steak body truck.
Cheerios and beer for breakfast.
Yeah, we took back off of that and we had Cheerios and beer for breakfast. So it wasn't Cheerios, it was Sport Flakes and beer. Yeah, that makes a big difference.
He was up from the cat, he wasn't talking where the work was.
What's that? Huh? What'd I do?
I'm just listening to everything he's saying. He's making a deep.
I've done that before. But no, we had some great times. But I guess, well, we wound up getting it back. We had to go up and get it, I think. But that was quite a row. They had to get a backhoe in to move it from off the steps up in Duncannon. That didn't go over very big with the locals, but they got a sense of humor. Though. They got over it. Yeah, that's right. They were having the centennial at the same time we were, so that was something else. The Gifford Rogers up there. Linglestown Business and Professional Association we'll show you here in a minute, was,
There you go. Down on the right.
yeah, with Bert Rogers, or myself, and Bert Rogers, and Tony Steary. I don't know how many of you people remember him, but they've been gone for a while, but well, the younger guy's still here. That's me. Not young anymore, but I'm still here. But that's, I guess we were selling some tokens or something to do with that. And
There's your tow truck.
yeah, that's my tow truck and my old 37 Ford. I had that, and I had a 59 pickup, and I got a 57 pickup. So I had some wheels. The guy up there in the office, I'll be darned if I can think of his name. You know it? No, any?
The one up there in the corner?
Yeah,
I think that's Butch LaChapelle.
yeah, that's who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Fred
Butch.
Kellner there.
Yeah. I don't know who the kid is down there hiding, but don't know that one. The other one over at the truck working on that, I don't think that's my wrecker.
Yeah, 'cause he had an old truck too.
Yeah, he had a truck because he couldn't have stood on the ground and reached those windows on mine. But Fred Kellner was a friend that was in the Air Force with me, and he was quite a guy. So he was one of the part-timers that I had way back. But now by this time, my girls were getting old enough to really start getting into the nitty-gritty of getting dirty. Yeah, well, I purchased the station in 1967, and I put that's the way it was at the top on the right, and I put the addition on it, the 2 bays on in 1973, and yeah, and I bought the barn about that time too. There's nothing there for the barn, so see if you can get the construction photos. We're witnessing that. I bought the house on the square where the barber shop was. So I had the whole square there, just about the whole one corner of it. So, no, that's not it, Deb. I think that's close.
I like the car.
There you go. Yeah, that's, when we put the addition on the back of it, up at the top left-hand corner show you two bays in the back and 2 up front. And down below they show them putting on the 2 bays. Jack Gardner's man that was running his backhoe was in there. They had all 4 walls up. He's in there rushing around with the backhoe and knocked the whole front wall out. And I said, oh man. What else can go wrong? Well, what else can go wrong did go wrong. So I had Bucky Search come in to set the steel beam in that place. It was about a 40-foot long steel beam. And he had his boom truck, because he was Bucky Search Signs, it was a sign truck. But he didn't put the outriggers out on it. And he got that thing up and it was swinging, and the last thing I hear him saying was, "Don't you roll over, you son of a bitch." And about that time, the beam's out in the alley and the truck's laying on its side. All the way down, boy. But he wasn't a happy camper then. I think they had to get a big rig in to get that up. And I said, well, what the heck? What's another thing that's going wrong? But My daughters were good. They worked in the post office trucks. They cleaned around the station. They did stuff. And their most favorite thing that they really enjoyed doing was cleaning out the barn. Really fun. George Grubb had chickens on the second floor of that barn. They were pretty healthy chickens, I'm telling you.
And that was our summer job.
Yeah, they really enjoyed that. They shoveled all that stuff out.
Lasting memories.
Yeah. And when you shoveled it, it would dry up, and then you'd sweep it, and then you couldn't breathe. So it was a mess, but they survived it. I didn't get arrested for bullying the kids. Well, you know, they get after you for everything these days.
When your girls were.
Yeah, well, grew up in the miners. But I guess in around 70s they had that gas allocation. They were allocating gas. You could only get it for certain license plates and certain whatevers. Well, that was a fun time too, because I got into some troubles there, but not real trouble. I got some people that got upset because we were closed out front, but I'd sneak them in the back. I'd have them pull up in the back and then bring them out one at a time. And, well, we kind of lied our way through it, but we got through it. And I kept a lot of the customers happy, not all of them. But then shortly after that, I guess on March 28th, they had 3 Mile Island come up. That was another event that it took some time away from us, but it was, I think 3 Mile Island was the greatest thing as far as traffic control. It was great. Sundays you could jump in your car, you could go into 22, drive down 22, never see a car. Never even see a car. It was just wide open, beautiful. But I didn't want to get at that. I didn't want to go through that 3 Mile Island bit, just to get traffic control. That all went away, and now 3 Mile Island's going away now. So we got to the point where we were running pretty well. We had the help. Getting to know the people in Linglestown was certainly not hard. They were very, very friendly all the time. I had nothing but the highest regard for them. They were very, very easy to get along with, and I made some friends with Jay Diver, or Eddie Diver, and Deb, and used to go in for my stickers into the state. Bill Meese, who lived right next door to the station, was working in there, and he'd bring stickers out. And then I got a hold of Carl Newman and Jack White, and between the two of them, whew, I don't know, these retired railroaders are a rough crew. And I think that Jack White used to go in there and into Bill's office, Doc Gordon's office, and you'd have to, well, it was a blue light section then when he went in. Boy, he had a mouth on him that was next to nothing. But we did pretty good all in all. We owned a, you can see right there where the square is, to the left of that, we had all 3 of those properties. And that was quite an undertaking for me, but it worked out all right for me. I was okay, but it was a lot of work, that's for sure, but I had a lot of help, and I'm sure the Lord helped me out quite a bit, keeping my sanity. But we did well. We did very well. We were able to take some trips. The girls and I, we had 3 8,000-mile trips out west with a camper, and we were out there. And the girls hiked to the top of Long's Peak, and that wasn't Long's Peak, Wheeler Peak, wasn't it, Bill?
What's that?
Wheeler, yeah.
Yeah,
We hiked up to there, and then they
14,000 feet.
yeah, that was about a 13,000 foot peak. And then we went from there to the Grand Canyon, and we hiked to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and back. That was 55 miles. And we had some really good, and then besides that we went to Canada quite a bit. That's another story. There's Acme Auto Parts. Some of the auto parts that we have with Acme and R&H and Automotive Supply, Harrisburg Supply, and George Hunter, who owned R&H Supply, built a place in Canada and gave me first chance at it in the late 60s to go up there. He said, "You want to go up and use my place?" And I said, "Sure." And I started that in the 60s, late 60s, I guess, and we wound up almost 40 years up there. We bought our own place, Dick Nye and I bought our own place up there. I guess, I don't know when that was, but we were up there almost 40 years, and we had a great time. It was really something to get into and get around with. But I don't know, some of the places that we dealt with around here was Heisley and Hawker Tires. We down Danny's Tire Service. We had that, Tire Mart, and coordinated with some of the other service stations around here was Bill Strauss, Bill's Texaco, and Bob Kelly, and Fleet Electric, and Wagner's VW, and George Hunter's R&H. It was a close-knit kind of bunch. There's many more places around now. Well, there's not. No, not the type of stations that we had. They're few and far between anymore. There's no way that you can survive in this in the makeup of the business now. But dealerships were Helm Chevrolet, Sutliff, Hamakers, Hartman, Toyota, Huffman, Ford, Kenny Bates Ford, Blake Cadillac, Brenner Dodge, and we had Carl's Body Shop right down the street. He was I thought he was my only competition in the gas business. So I guess if we can't beat him, we get him to join us. And the oldest Carl boy is now married to my wife, to Deb. So we now are part of the Carr family, or they're part of us, one of the two. But and we had well, I don't even want to bring that up. We had a gas spill, and that just about wiped me out. That was very close, and I don't even know what the time, 78 or something like that, and that cost me about $300,000 out of my pocket, and I paid every penny of it. Didn't have anybody mad at me. Nobody sued me. Nobody did anything except help each other. And that's the kind of people that were in Linglestown. I had neighbors helping neighbors with running water over to them for maybe a couple of months until we could get wells drilled. I had to drill 5 wells and do water testing on a bunch of stuff. But the people in Linglestown were just fantastic. I went to them, explained what happened. It wasn't my fault. The oil company overfilled the tank, but they were very, very cordial and very nice about it, and that took an awful lot of pressure off of me. But I can't say enough about the Lord being with me on that. That gave me a few gray hairs, and but the chemo took the rest of them. But that's the way you go. But well, we got through it. I got through it. I don't know how I got through it, but the only thing I can think is that the Lord was sure looking over me somewhere's up there, because it just doesn't make much sense. But so in somewhere in '92, things were changing, and I had to make some changes because of the gas bill, and so we decided to go to a convenience store. Yeah, we converted the station to a convenience store, and we went with Citgo, with Chrysler's oil, and that was quite a chore, but it took a lot to get that. We put new pumps in and rechanged it. We took it to run 2 bays, converted them into the store. In the back 2 bays, we had left this garage. Now that was a challenge, but I'll tell you, I did more work in those 2 bays than I did in the 4. And it was just the way it worked, that you worked the store into it, because the store was open longer than mine was, so we could drop off, people could drop their car off at the store. They could fill out the work order and stuff, and just take it to the back. And they could pick it up till 10 or 11 o'clock if they wanted to. So it worked out well for me on that part. And we did pretty well in the store. And like I say, they did everything we could to get it running right. And once we got that up and running and everything was good, and I had an open house, and we had the Citgo NASCAR. We had that there for a couple of days on the front of the grass plot. That drew some kids. They had a real good time with that thing. But lots of giveaways and what have you. And then we had a snowstorm, I think in '92. We had 3 foot of snow. Linglestown was closed both sides. The only way you could get in was Mountain Road, and that was only 1 lane, I think. And we were housing people that couldn't get home, and that was quite an ordeal. But we got it closed, and I guess from there, I guess we sold the station in October 6th, 2006 rather. And to John Bell, who turned it back into a 4-bay garage again. Took the store out, no gas. So he later sold it to Jim Murphy and put it back all the way to a full-service garage. Jim Murphy was doing a great job in there, and he just died this year. And it was a shame, because everybody I talked to were really well pleased with him. And it was a shame that he had to go the way he did. But now the building is a 5-bay car wash, C&R, automotive detailing. And they seem to be doing a heck of a job there. They really do a great job on a car wash. They're all hand washed, and it's still the same building, the same major buildings right there that there was, the way that the garage was laid out. So that was nice. And that I guess Ryan Stanberg was the guy that owns the store, owns the car wash. But they do a great job, and I'm glad to see it in 50 years go back to almost what it was, rather than just throw it away. But I'm glad it worked out the way it did, and it was a lot through. It was a long trip through that 50 years. But like I said, I can't thank the Lord enough for getting me through all of that. I think He was just setting me up for what was going to happen after I got done, or got out of the garage and so-called retired. boy, that didn't work out like I thought. That really beat me up. And so I can't complain about my life. We've had a good life. And I didn't say very much about Claire, and I should have. She back in the 60s, I guess, somewhere, we opened her bridal shop. She made, how many people here had something made by Clara or had alterations done? Yeah, I figured there had to be a few people in there. She really worked her tail off on that, and she did a great job of it. And she was through all the struggles that we went through to get this to where we're at now. And but I sure am happy to be here with all of you folks, because of it took its toll, but it was worth it all in the long run. I couldn't be any happier with the way it turned out, and now I'm just gotta fight along for the next few years until the Lord figures out what to do with me. That's taking him. He's got a lot of thoughts there. But I don't know if anybody else got anything that they want to ask any questions, or I know Dick. I know.
Share your favorite employee sitting next to you.
Oh, that number one, yeah. Well, no, she was my favorite. She was my bookkeeper, my gopher, and all that kind of good stuff. But she really did a heck of a job too. She really was good at that. But it was a heck of a good time. So I had something in mind I was going to say, and you blew it. Yeah, anybody got some stories they want to come up with? And who's the person here that knows what happened to the jail?
Which one?
Which one?
We had three.
Oh,
You don't remember.
no, I don't.
Much of this.
Oh, come on now, not me. I ate Wheaties with mine. I didn't have the Wheaties and beer.
Well, how about the one that stole in front of your gas station?
What's the one I'm talking about? That wound up in Duncannon
Yeah,
on the steps of
yeah,
the bank.
yeah.
They had to get it back for them, get it off of there.
I got pictures of showing that you were helping, too.
Oh, no.
You like the township had a big burglary.
Yeah.
They take it off the steps, but they said nobody was left there. Well, Linglestown, don't ever say nobody.
Yeah.
So we lifted it, put it on the steps, and took off.
Well,
Guys then,
since you,
Linglestown, and he was looking for the guy. Everybody was the same, Linglestown, don't we?
yeah, we all had beards.
Talking about.
We all had beards. They couldn't tell us apart. But we,
About up at Duncannon.
well, you tell them that when we went up to Duncannon, so I've been told. When we went up there, they got out of the truck to get it, and there wasn't as many guys that went to Duncannon as was in Linglestown. And there was a bunch of cars. There was a car stopped right behind the truck, and said, "You guys need some help?" So we had people from up there help us get it off and set it on the step. What to say?
Well, the rest of the story.
Oh, okay. You got another one?
Come down to Linglestown, because we always paid for half a keg of beer. And that was the year that Mustang came out, just asked him about it. And coming down from Duncannon, everybody's hot, hungry, we always had cold cuts and stuff there. Everybody got over drinking this Mustang. The next day we got all kind of nasty phone calls. What the hell kind of beer was that?
Well, I couldn't have been there then. I didn't have any problems the next day. It was the day after the next day. So that was tough. We had some real good times with that, though. That was fun. And stuff that you wouldn't normally do, but we were good for that. So we had some good times there. Used to take the girls in there and take them for rides. Up and down on the lifts.
Up and down on the left.
Yeah.
That was a quality time with Dad.
Yeah.
Tell me what the name of your motorcycle was.
What?
The name of your
What was the name of your Triumph?
A Triumph.
Purple People Eater.
Well, it did its share.
Let the people know what kind of guy you were when you were in Linglestown.
Well, we did that on Sunday so we wouldn't bother
Yeah,
many
after you
people.
went to church.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to be. You don't want to do that stuff and go to church. But we had some good times with that, and
Yes, we have.
yeah, you guys, Sonny Miller and me, Paul, were running Harleys, and I was the only little old Triumph. But I helped on them.
You did, that's why you got the name Purple People Eater.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, I'll take that. That's my part, yeah. Oh, that was fun. I don't know of anything else that I could add, but I'm sure there's some things that, what's that?
Oh, we've got stories, Paul.
I was waiting for that to come.
The one that I enjoy telling the most is when Paul had the experience of having the tank overfilled. Was he went neighbor to neighbor, tell each of the neighbors on either side of the Amoco station across the street that their groundwater could be compromised with gasoline. And Ed and Ann Dibler, who lived just like three properties down, Ed's response to Paul was, well, I just won't smoke in the shower anymore.
Anything for a laugh. Yeah, that was quite a time. I'd sort of forget about that, Donnie, if you don't mind. I wouldn't even bring it up.
Do you have more?
Oh, what I remember most, because I worked for Paul for a while I was building a house.
Yep.
One of the things that most impressed me about Paul was he had this little gray shop bench. And on that shop bench, he would lay out this brown cloth. And when the brown cloth came out, that meant he was going to rebuild a carburetor. I was so impressed that Paul Rowe could take a carburetor down to the individual pieces and be able to rebuild that carburetor back up from just the pieces and parts. It was amazing. I've never seen anyone ever do that since. But an amazing technician.
I was lucky a lot of times.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I specialized in was that I was good at that. I got better at it as it went on, but it was like when I quit and went down to Robbie's and started working on clocks. I didn't know what a clock did. It would tell me time. I never touched a clock really. And about 15 years later, I was working on anything down there. So I was just lucky enough or the Lord blessed me enough to be able to do mechanical stuff like that and get by with it. So the carburetors were fun. They weren't bad, except a lot of times I'd do them at night when everybody was out of there, and so I could get it done. Otherwise, they'd drive you crazy. But I've had so much help out there, and that I'm well blessed that over the year, like I said, I know I missed a bunch of part-time people that were working for me, and I'm sorry about that, but
Just ask them to raise their hand if they were.
Do what?
Ask them if they were a part-time.
Oh, yeah, any part-time?
Anybody that was a part-timer or a full-timer with Paul Samico, raise your hand.
There we go.
There, yeah, we've got a few of them back
Yep.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, who's that one? I saw a hand go up back there. Oh,
Yeah.
Jimmy Baker. Little Jimmy Baker.
Want my green
That's my green stamps.
Wrong station.
Yeah, well, it was quite a chore, but it was well worth it to know the people that I got, and where I'm staying now, after I retired, so they said, but I'm at a Kindred place now, and it's a great place. I think half of Linglestown's out there now. I got out there, and the Burns Inc. showed up, and a bunch of other ones are out there from the Pastor Ted's out there, and his wife, and, Danny McLean's out there. So that's a place where they get rid of old worn out mechanics. Let's go to the Kindred place, they'll take care of you. And they do, they take good care of you. It's been a real joy for that, but I don't know if you girls got anything else you want to throw out.
I'm going to share
Go ahead.
something. I want to recognize the Bystolls. My mother and I decided many years ago, after the Ford, what was the Ford Coupe? Do you remember the black Ford? 51 Ford, okay. After that was gone, my mother and I decided that we wanted to get my dad an antique car. And so the Bystolls were selling their 52 Ford. The car had originally 30 to 35,000 miles on it. That's all it had on it. So I decided, I went to the Bystolls and I said, we don't have all the money for the car. Can we make payments and get the car for you, for my dad, and surprise him for Christmas? And so she said, yeah, we can do that. I think we put like $1,000, $1,500 down on the car. But anyways, we made the payments, and my mom takes me up to pick up the car. It's Christmas Eve. I don't remember what the year was, but it was snowing. And it was snowing pretty nicely that Christmas Eve. And my dad's at the gas station, and we were still Amoco, so he's out pumping gas, and he sees this 52 Ford in a snowstorm being driven around the square. And I can see him pumping the gas, and I can only imagine what is going through his head. Who in the world is driving that car in a snowstorm? Unbeknownst to him, that evening, we were all going to Linglestown United Methodist. We were living on the square, and so we took, put the 52 Ford up in the front bay, and I intentionally left the lights on in the bay, so that when we came home from church, I said to my dad, who left the lights on in the bay? And he went over, and that's when we gave him his 52 Ford at the
That was a
time.
nice car. That was
a nice car.
beautiful. It still had the original title, and then in the glove box, the original seat covers on it. I mean, everything was original on it. But I had some fun with it, but then I was working too much, and I didn't get time to really enjoy it. And the tank started getting rusty, and then I had problems with that, so that didn't work out. But that was a fun car. We had a long time, good time with that.
There's just one other quick story that I'll tell you, and that was one of the perks of being a full-time employee of my dad's was I could get gasoline, and I didn't have to pay for it.
Not just being an employee, being a daughter. because-
Well,
Yeah.
I think the daughter fell in there
Something to
too.
do with it, too.
So it was one of those perks.
She filled up every other day.
You got a lot of friends all of a sudden.
That's right, yeah. Where do you want to go? Anyways, some of you guys might remember we had the first car that I bought was for my great aunt, and I bought it for a whole $50. It was a car that had 9 lives. It lived through quite a few things. But one day, because there was never a shortage of cars. If you needed a car, you just went out, you grabbed a car, and you went wherever you needed to go, whether it was for the gas station or not. And my dad didn't know this, that the car was just about out of gas. And he went out and he grabbed this 67 Olds Cutlass, and he pulled out, he got around the barber shop, and the car died. And but he didn't tell me he was going to take the car, because had he done that, I would have told him that I had used it the night before, and he might want to put some gas in the car.
It's always my fault. One thing about being boss, you get to be, all the buck stops with me, that's all right.
And in my dad's sense of humor, as you know, some of you know my dad's sense of humor, I asked him if he enjoyed his trip, which fits right in with him.
Oh, yeah, it sure did.
It did, yeah. He just came back, he grabbed another car that had gas in it and took off.
That's right, that's the way to do it.
Why do you call for A?
I did the same thing. You said, I don't know anybody that can run out of gas pulling out of the gas station.
I did make it a little embarrassing, didn't it? I thought I wasn't going to mention it to anybody. But, well, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we've had some good times there, and the Lord has really blessed me with good people like you to know them. And Linglestown has a lot of good traits going for it. When I opened that station in '58, you could have laid down in the middle of Linglestown Road taking a nap. Now you can't even get across the street. Getting run over. It was quite a chore, but it's evolved into a real metropolis, I guess you'd call it. But it's really, since this new, I know there's a lot of people that didn't like this new roundabouts and the new things that were, the way the traffic was going. I'm telling you, I think it's the best thing that ever since sliced bread. It works so well, and everybody loves it, and even the people that hated it love it now. They're used to it. But it's great, and it's made it look so much nicer. The town's looking so much brighter now and cleaner, and I know somebody back here is much happier about that, Mr. Minsker. And he should be in getting it to that point, so no doubt about it.
Paul, I have a story.
You got it? Go ahead, Bill.
About your family and blood.
What? Stand up. Stand up.
Stand up, Doug.
Come on.
Remember the time you came up on, Clara cut her hand on Sunday afternoon?
Oh, yeah.
And we brought her up the office, and we were standing at the sink, forcing her hand out, and you were standing one side, Clara was there. All of a sudden you said, I think I gotta leave. So you went out in the other room. Pretty soon Clara started to wobble like this, and she went down on the floor. So I got a towel out and put it down and sewed her hand up. Meanwhile, you were in the room getting over your whatever you get when you see blood.
I told you, I said, I think you can get her off the floor, but you ain't gonna get me up at it.
No, you went up the floor. Another time, Joanne was up reading her chart before she came in to see me. And it came to the part where I sewed her up one time. She passed out reading the chart.
That's something she does with abandon.
I don't
She
think
was
her
very
family
good
was
at
like that, but
We share stories on that.
Yeah.
Ask our kids, they know, they've seen it firsthand.
Well, that was the time that you got your hand caught in the conveyor belt in the store, and she fell out. You fell.
I passed out.
Oh, you passed out.
Everybody else, yeah.
How about the time the guy was delivering gas there at the corner? When he got down, he was on top of his truck fixing the light. And when he come down, he got his ring fingers off.
Oh, yeah.
Pulled that thing off his day, went up the
Tore a finger right off.
nose sticking out.
Yeah, with the bone.
Called me and said, Got his finger, we can sew it on.
Yeah, that's what, I forgot about that. That was a good one. That was good. I think good's the wrong word, but we've had so many things too.
That end day there, at your shop,
Yeah.
when we had that young kid with the long hair, he told me about teasing about his hair.
Oh,
If I didn't tease him about his hair,
you're gonna cut it off.
the next time he did, I could cut his hair.
Yeah, you
I
gotta,
screwed up on some brake pads, and the day he rolled them out, he parked by that door. When he turned around to get them pads, I had him by the waist, and I carried him in that bay, and took the scissors, and I half of it.
yeah. I think you caught help from the mother too. I think it must have father.
Well, he went in and quit his job, and his boss told him, don't bet with something you don't want to lose.
That's true, that's true. And we knew how to do that too. We had some pretty lively times there over the years. It's probably some of the stuff we can't talk about, or shouldn't talk about, or whatever. Go ahead.
I got a lot of stories about
Oh,
up
I
there.
know you do.
But us West Hanover guys like Jay and Eileen and I, the best story, the thing you did for us West Hanover and Piketown people was open a convenience store. Because one time I went up, you remember this, and I gave your wife Clara a $10 bill. I don't know what I bought anymore, and I said, just give me 2 20s back. And to this day, that was the first time I ever did it. To this day, every time I pay cash, I do that. Anyway, there were 3 or 4 people in the store, and I just winked at them or whatever, and they paid their stuff, and they waited to see what I was going to do. And I said, Claire, I don't think you want to do this. She said, what don't I want to do? I said, you gave me 2 20s. She goes, that's what you asked for. I said, I only gave you a 10. She got she's the only person that ever got mad at me. She slammed her fist down, and she was yelling and screaming, and I do it every time.
I wish you'd have gave me a minute to go over and cover her ears when you said that. Now you're going to have troubles getting that. We've had some great times. But,
Any other questions? Well, Paul, we can't thank you enough for this evening. It was very entertaining, and I definitely learned a lot about the Rao family.
yeah, we're all still here.
Thank you very, very much.